And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the WardiTV Monday number 27, your weekly dose of open StarCraft. I'm of course Joseph VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Exclamation mark, be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket is live, the bracket is stacked, the bracket is intense, and we have chosen our first series of the broadcast. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Sandworm, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Blue Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Hi, Bappy. And you know what time it is? It is time for predictions. It's time to get your gamba going, as predictions are now open in the chat. To place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck as we jump into our first PvP of the night. It's the first of many, I'm sure. Don't you worry, we'll get there into the rest of those matches. We'll be going over the rest of the bracket after this initial series. For now, we're focusing on our PvP. Welcome, welcome one and all. Share my papi, share my. Good to see you all in the chat. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos. Meanwhile, of course, this is a special, I was gonna say special edition of WardiTV Monday, but WardiTV Monday have since adapted and updated their map pool. As a result, 3 TLMC maps are in the map pool of this tournament. Specifically, it is going to be Killer's Mile, Persephone, and Sandworm. So there are 3 maps that have been introduced into this map pool. Which maps were removed? Well, specifically the maps that all tournaments have removed, that is Neon Violet Square, Abyssal Reef, and King's Cove. Those 3 maps, they have been removed. We have gotten rid of them and replaced them with other TLMC maps instead. Just another good way to feature them, and another good way to embrace some of these otherwise maps that a lot of people seem to be content with and would rather play on. I mean, we see it even here. Like, we went through the veto process, and both Classic and Shameless did agree to play on Sandworm, not on one of the current ladder maps. So far, 2-gate opener out of Shameless. Likewise, 2-gate my apologies. 2-gate opener out of Shameless. Classic going for a gate. Cyber Stargate into an expansion. Classic going for a much more greedy build here, going for the max packs. We'll see if he can get away with it. We'll see if Shameless can punish this. Shameless will have the option to go for a 1-base all-in. You can see Shameless does keep that probe here towards the left-hand side. Of course, welcome one all to Sandworm. We have casted many games on Sandworm. Sandworm does feature these teeth in the center of the map, these big traffic cones, if you will, which can disrupt movement. As you can see, Stalkers, they cannot go through those cones, but Workers and Adepts can. Oh, Proxy Pylon gets run down, and Classic, he does find the pylon. Massive scout there for Classic. Now he's aware of the aggression coming his way. Oracle's in production first, followed by, I would imagine, the Void Ray. Just to be safe, just to be secure, the probe is going to be racing back home. Looks like we're not going for an all-in. We might reinforce across the map, but there's no proxy. There is no proxy, there is no gateway or robo or Stargate or anything crazy like that. Shameless is expanding instead. So getting in towards the early to mid game, we do see that Classic does have the advantage. Classic, his expansion is almost done. His expansion is almost done. Shameless just now beginning. So you can already see here a massive economic advantage here for the side of Classic. This is because of his opener. It is risky to go for this opener. You are vulnerable to all-ins, but remember, Shameless isn't going for the all-in. Oracle gets across the map. Shameless does have 2 Zorgers in position, and so far Shameless, he will deflect, he will defend. The Oracle gets no damage so far. Likewise, Shameless does reinforce, pushing here towards that natural. Again, with that pylon, does reinforce, warping in 2 Stalkers at a time. He's got 4, so it'd be 6. So it'd be 6 Stalkers, but what will Classic have? The Void Ray. Again, that's the power of the Stargate opener, is that you can make Void Rays. It is very common to make Void Rays when the defending Protoss player feels under threat. If they feel under fire here, it's all about those Void Rays. Void Rays, they're a great kind of like stopgap, like just defensive unit in the early game of PvP. They don't really scale well into a longer game. I would say they are worse than Immortals, for example, but, you know, they get the job done. They allow you to survive, they allow you to defend. Shameless keeps poking in though. Shameless trying to break down that front door, but alas, he does spot the army. 2 more stasis traps as well. This position is looking very difficult to break. A 3rd stasis trap gets thrown down, and Shameless backs off. Shameless, he does back up. He gets the hell out of there. Ooh, we are not casting the Sparkling Tuna. I'll have to get rid of that out of our current game. Once we finish up, I'll try to remember to remove the logos mod. But yes, we were casting the Tuna Cup last night. True. Casting the Tuna. But now, Void Rays are building up. And back at home, Shameless, he is likewise saturating on 2 bases. Now, as a reminder, Classic has had the better economy so far. Likewise, Classic has economic damage potential with this Oracle. Speaking of, dips in, gets 1. Gets 1, probe does dip away, doesn't, or barely takes a bit of hull damage, just a tiny bit. Although Classic, he's actually investing into another Void Ray. 4? Jesus, 4 Void Rays on the way. Now what this means, when you build up to this high of a Void Ray count, I would expect Classic to stop at 2, maybe 3 at most, but to get a 4th Void Ray tells us that Classic most likely is going to push. He's most likely going to move out to actually make use of this army on 2 bases. Shameless backing up, building up more Stalkers, no shield but on the low ground, getting ready for a 3rd expansion. So Shameless making up for his late natural with a faster 3rd. So we're a couple of seconds away. Meanwhile, we spoke earlier, hey, we noticed that high Void Ray count, that means that a push is coming. Now, Shameless did see the 3 Void Rays with the pylon, so that was a bit of a tell. There's an expansion on the way. Classic looking for a way in. Ooh, and Shameless, he will find him. Yeah, blinks forward, gets 1, gets the 1 Stalker, does focus down one of the Void Rays, but he will take a lot of damage. He'll take a lot of losses here. Ay, you can see the prismatic element on those Void Rays just annihilates those Stalkers. That's how many? That's 8 Stalkers. 8 Stalkers for 2 Void Rays. A brutal trade. And Shameless, he's losing too much. He's losing far too much here. He has to back up. He has to retreat, bleeding out another Stalker. These are expensive losses here for Shameless. Ooh, does snipe one of the Void Rays. Not bad. Snipes 1. Classic finally has to back up. Whew, and Shameless holds. Wasn't the cleanest of holds, but a hold nonetheless. Shameless does defend, does survive. Force field, that completely walls this area. Oh, he blinks in! He goes to dive anyway. He wants that Void Ray, and he will get it. Void Ray does fall. Gets another Stalker. Ooh, won't be able to quite blink away. Does fall back. And we have to take stock here. We need to take a moment to take stock of what's been going on. Shameless, he has his 3rd base up, about to be up and running. Classic not too far behind, getting his own 3rd expansion. Looking at the install tab here, that was 15 Stalkers going down. That was so many losses here for Shameless. Imagine if he had these Stalkers now, he could threaten the expansion. But right now, Shameless, he has been having a really hard time trading efficiently here against Classic. Classic, meanwhile, again, he is done with Wardi production. We never expected him to continue. Remember what we said previously, how Void Rays, they're really only useful in the early game. Now we've gotten past that, now into Immortal production. So Immortals on the way, Gateway Explosion. Now, ooh, I was going to say whether it was going to be Charge or Blink, it was going to be a little bit more delayed here. That is one of the downsides here of Classic's build, is that his tech is later, is going for Glaives. This tells us that most likely Classic is going for an all-in. It is very popular and very trendy to go Massive Mortal Gateway Explosion into Immortal Adept. Adepts actually do a great job at just tanking shots. They do a great job at just tanking Stalker and Immortal shots specifically. So it looks like we're just going to be gearing up towards one big push. Meanwhile, Shameless going for the gold. I glossed over it, but yes, on this map there are these center gold bases. They are a little bit more defendable because of the terrain, because of the dragon's teeth, the rocks as well. There's a lot coming into play here, at least defensively at the center gold. And I want to believe that Shameless can get into this gold base, but what's important and what Shameless needs against all these Adepts is going to be Archons. Temple Archives on the way. He needs as many Archons as possible. Now, the way that this works here, as the Immortals of Classic will be focusing on the Archons, and the Adepts will be protecting and buffering for the army. Meanwhile, the Archons, they need to mow through those Adepts before Shameless can get to the Immortals. Well, Zealots can be okay, true. They can be okay. I mean, Shameless is going to have to rely upon them, especially with that gold base. Classic taking his own gold, but one step behind. At least economically. Here comes that expansion timing. Shameless still building up. Glaive's about to finish. Prism is on the way, which tells us that Classic he will soon push. Here come those Archons. One so far. Should be 2. So 2 Archons, that's gonna help. Oh. Classic does get into the natural. There is a cannon in position. Cannon will deflect. Again, building up a lot of Charger Archon. I say that, second Archon's just now morphing in, only 2 Archons. Is that going to be enough? We'll see how the armies engage. Mortals moving in. Again, the force field, sometimes try to lock this down. Stalkers are behind, going for the Prism. Doesn't quite get it though. The Prism does survive. Immortals are going to be exposed, but an awkward fight here. The force fields, they get broken down. And the Prism does pull away in time. Does pull back. Zealot reinforcements are trickling in. There's just too much Protoss here. Classic, he will break through. He will break through, he takes on the Archon. Again, you can see the Adepts overwhelm. And there just wasn't enough splash damage here for Shameless. GG gets called, and Classic, he will break through. He will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Classic will take a lead in the series. They're going to sold game 1 out of Classic. We saw that Shameless's army still left much to be desired. The engagement, I feel like, was good for Shameless, but unfortunately there just wasn't enough there to buffer for tank for his army. Likewise, he only had a handful of Stalkers. Again, he bled out 15 Stalkers at the start of the game. If he had even half of that, he could have had a stronger performance there when it came to potentially sniping the Prism, or even trying to focus down some of those Immortals. Alas, was unable to. GG. GG well played, was overwhelmed, and with that, Classic takes the lead, but now we're getting to game number 2. Let's go. Let us go. Jump into game 2. Oh, shout out to No Clone in the chat. I see No Clone. I see Turbo Quacker as well. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Good to see you all. So we are jumping into game number 2. We're here to find out if this takes us to the ace match, or if this all ends here and now on Amygdala. Then we can go over the brackets. I will try to remove the logos mod after this game. I'll do my best. Problem is, like, I can't remove it like mid-game. This doesn't allow for that. It has to be out of game. So get around to it. It'll be fine. At spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Amygdala, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, leading the series 1-0. It is Classic. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Blue Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Go. So we are going to be settling in, getting into our PvP. Now, as a reminder, last game we did see a different dynamic. We had Shameless initially opening up 2-gate Blink Stalker eventually, and he tried to break the natural. He wasn't quite able to. If you remember, that led into the Void Ray counterattack from Classic, where he killed 15 Stalkers. It was crazy just how much value he had gotten so early on. But that was also off the back of a Stargate opener from Classic. So we'll see how our players do differ here loading into Amygdala. And now Amygdala is a much larger map in the map pool, longer rush distance by ground. So I would say that it is safer for Classic to go for a Cybercore. It looks like that's what Classic is going for. So Gateway into Cybercore. What I find interesting is that Shameless is doing the same. So Shameless is going for the same build, but again, I would say that it is a little bit easier to get away with this as, oh, Classic, he does rush into the expansion, never mind. Okay, Classic off of 1 Gas Geyser, he does rush into the expansion. We'll take the natural, very greedy build here by Classic. Once again, economically, Classic is 1 step ahead. He's 1 step ahead. Meanwhile, across the map, Classic is pylon blocking. He's here with the probe. His goal here is to delay the expansion of Shameless for as long as possible. Shameless is forced to make a Zealot as a result. He did throw in his Cybercore further back in the main base, so it's going to be Gate into Cybercore into a second Gateway. This feels like a 1 base all in. You would not throw down a second Gateway this early on without good reason. Zealot has popped out. A probe is killed, and Classic, when he loses this pylon, he will not have any vision. Not yet. Won't have any vision here what's going on. Shameless, yep. Gateway, another Gateway, 1 base all in. One way or another, Shameless, one way or another, the game is going to end. Either Shameless kills Classic, or he dies trying. And again, remember, Classic did go for a very greedy opener. He does follow this up with a Stargate, so the Stargate is designed for that Void Ray production that we did see in Game 1. The Void Rays are designed to keep a player safe in the early game. Now, this may be Oracle and then Void Ray. We'll see how safe Classic plays this. It should be Oracle first, though. It should be Oracle first. There's that proxy pylon. So we have 3 gates at home, and we should be getting a proxy 4th gate across the map. So it's going to be a 1 base, 4 gates all in. It's going to be vanilla Stalkers, no Blink, bear that in mind, just pure Stalker production. Meanwhile, ooh, Phoenix first at a Classic. Interesting. Now, I think I favor Shameless here. Now, Phoenix first, this is a hard counter to proxy Robo. Oh, he barely doesn't see, barely does not scout this. Now, proxy Robo, the reason why this would be a hard counter, Phoenixes, they can lift, of course, the Immortals. They can lift the Immortals one at a time. They can even focus down the War Prism as well. Phoenixes are a great defensive tool, or at least they can be, but against 4-gate Blink, sorry, 4-gate 1-base Stalker all in, I mean, Phoenixes are a little bit less useful just because lifting a Stalker has less value than lifting an Immortal, as there's going to be more Stalkers as well. So here we go. Stalkers are warping in. Classic, there we go. Now going for the Void Ray. Did open up double Phoenix, then into a Void Ray. Now this does mean that Classic is going to be down a Void Ray that they otherwise would have, and the Phoenixes, yeah, they're not going to do well here. They're going to be targeted down. One of them getting low, taking a lot of hold damage. Stalkers, they push in. Does go for the lift. Within range of the shield battery. Oh, second shield battery's on the way, and looks like one Stalker is going to go down. Just barely. And wow, with that, Classic is holding. Classic is holding on. Void Ray is on the way. Again, those shield batteries putting in a lot of work. The boys are being pulled. Shield batteries are running out of energy, but now he has the Void Ray, and you can see the power of that Void Ray takes out another Stalker. Shameless still trying to work his way through. And again, bear that in mind. Shield batteries, they're down to 1 energy. No more energy on these shield batteries. But there we go. We have 2 more shield batteries on the way. Classic throwing them down in a panic. He knows he needs them. He knows without them he cannot hold on. As we are warping in 4 Stalkers at a time. Once again, boys are being pulled. Void Ray takes a big volley. But those shield batteries are going to finish. Yeah, they're going to finish. Their base is getting low. Shameless. Delicate dance here. Ooh, bleeds out a Stalker. Loses 1, loses 2, loses 3. 3 Stalkers going down. Brutal losses there for Shameless. Losing a 4th Stalker. Ay. It's basically a warping of Stalkers going down. Does get 1 Void Ray though. For another Stalker, that's going to be 5 Stalker kills. Losing up to 6. Gets the Void Ray though. Ooh, gets the Void Ray. Yeah, 6 Stalker, 7 Stalker goes down. Losing an 8th. Again, these are rough losses for Shameless. And the longer this goes on, the better it's going to be for Classic. Classic is down to 1 Void Ray. There's 1 Void Ray left. Can he get it? It's close. Goes to the dive. Doesn't, yeah, not quite. Yeah, Void Ray will survive. Stalkers, they get baited in. They do focus on the Stalkers at least, and even one of the Phoenixes. That's going to be another dead Stalker. It's just too many losses. Too many losses here. 15 in total. Stalkers have gone down. Too many losses. Still reinforces. I mean, the army is still low on HP. There's still potential. Base is still getting low. Shameless looks like he can get the expansion. Does focus on one of the voids. Not bad. Oh my god, almost gets the other. There we go. Does get the natural. Takes out the Void Ray. Void Ray does fall. So does the natural. No NG overcharge. And Shameless, does he have enough to keep going? God, that's still so many shield batteries. Oh my god. There's 8 shield batteries. But he's got the burst damage. Oh my god. You one-shot a Stalker. Once again, boys being pulled. Remember, there's no expansion. There's no follow-up. There's nothing behind this. Oof. Stalker does take a lot of hits. Sorry, I meant to say the Phoenix takes a lot of hits. He tanks a lot of damage. For the Void Rays. As behind the Shameless, there we go. There's the expansion. Shameless technically ahead in bases. And right now, the name of the game here, the win condition for Shameless, is not to kill his opponent, but to contain. To contain Classic. Ooh, takes out a Phoenix. To contain Classic on 1 base for as long as possible. And to ideally preserve this army. Ooh, another Stalker goes down. Void Ray is getting out of hand. Getting up to 3 Void Rays. Natural base almost done. Shameless is almost there. He's almost there. Natural's being rebuilt for Classic. Now Classic, he has no tech behind this. There's no Twilight Council, there's no Robo. You see Shameless going to be taking into Blink. Adept gets in. Adept, I believe, does scout the expansion. Yep. Classic knows. Once again, we built up to 4 Void Rays. And the game will continue from here. Okay, so Classic does defend. He does defend, he does survive. Did lose a lot of workers. He lost 13 probes and he lost an expansion in the process. And even though I will say that Shameless didn't trade amazingly, because Shameless lost 23 stalkers in the process, he does get the expansion and it's getting fully saturated. So Shameless, he actually has more efficient mining going on. Classic is long distance mining instead. So Shameless does have a greater economy. He's working towards Blink. He's still got his 4 gateways. From here, he can go for a Forge or even his own Robo for Immortal production, which I would not be opposed to. Speaking of Immortal production, there it is. Immortal's on the way for Classic. Now, Classic, he has to play out this quote-unquote mech style of PvP. What I mean by that, Void Rays and Immortals. That's what he has to rely upon because there's no Twilight Council, there's no gateways. He cannot reinforce with like Blink Stalkers. He cannot supplement his army with a gateway force. He needs those Immortals. And I wouldn't even be opposed to a 5th Void Ray, but he doesn't have the money for it. Ooh, Shameless. Blink is going to finish up in 2 seconds. He can blink into the main. Let's go for the pylon. Going for the pylon. Pylon goes down. Gets a Void Ray. From here he can blink out. He can try to. Oof. Just blink away. Leads out a couple of Stalkers. Shameless getting a 3rd, taking more expansions. I would still feel better about this if Shameless had a Robo of his own. Just getting another gateway. Getting into charge. Shameless is containing Classic. Peeking with the army. Gets a Stalker. Stalker Twilight Council on the way. This should be for charge from the side of Classic. As charge also be ideal for a more supportive army. Meanwhile, Shameless, I would love to see a if not a Robo, then at least a Forge for upgrades. Just so Shameless can maintain a lead over his opponent. Right now, his advantage isn't looking too amazing or too great. So just getting more gateways, charge. Glaive's on the way for Classic. Once again, just like the last game, it's going to be Glaive Adepts and Immortals. So Classic overwhelming Shameless previously with this composition. We'll see if Shameless can fare better this time. Now, straight up, Shameless does have the better economy. Now, he hasn't taken gases, not yet. There it is. There's the Forge now on the way. It's a bit of a late Forge. We'll see if it comes into play. Regardless, is at least in production. Templar Archives, that'll be for the Archon production with High Templar. Army-wise, we're getting into very similar compositions that we saw in Game 1. And Classic is pushing. Now, again, I was really concerned with the late Forge, and because the Forge was so late, it means that this upgrade is not going to be a factor in this next big fight. Likewise, Temple Archives also is delayed, and Archon production may just finish in time for this, but it's going to be close. It's going to be a very close hold. I don't see any shield batteries. Like Shameless, he has had the economic lead, that is true, but he hasn't really been able to accomplish much with that greater economy. Oh, trying to collapse in. Very nice force field. Stalkers, they dive on forward. They're going for the Immortals. They get 1. They're going to barely get 2, but this is not going to be ideal here. Yeah, Zealots are running out. Classic, he does overwhelm. But he did lose, was it 2? Yeah, 2 Immortals. 2 Immortals went down. Shameless, he pulls away. He's got his 1 Archon. Let's go. Blinks forward. Go for the Prism. Prism is going to go down. Denies the warp in. Very nice pickoff. And without that warp in, Shameless, he has enough. He has enough. GG gets called, denies the warp in, overwhelms the army, and Shameless will tap the series. We are going to the ace match. Oh my god. GG, well played. We are going all the way to game 3. A very intense game 2 there. Again, Shameless, he did have the economic advantage. I was concerned that he wasn't making the best use of that lead, but in the end, did still overwhelm the army, did deny the warp in. GG. Whew. GG, well played. As now we're jumping into the ace match. And we'll see how this story ends. We'll see if this goes the way of Classic or of Shameless. Let's go. Let's go. As it all ends here. It all ends here in the ace match. Bappy, we know how to pick series. We saw it, Bappy. We saw it ahead of time. Did see the starting match. We knew what we wanted, and we jumped into the PvP and spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines. We have our South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, being forced into the ace match. We'll see if we can recover. It is a Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Here we go. Now, coming into this, I still do, I mean, we all have to favor Classic coming into this series, but Shameless, he is a player that can and has threatened Classic before, forcing the ace match. Already a big win here for Shameless. Can he go all the way? Can he go the distance? Can he force Classic, or can he bring him down here in the first round of the WardiTV Monday? Oh boy. Now, first things first, Classic, he has gone for an economic build every single game so far. This time, double gas. Double gas here. Remember, last game, Classic, he skipped the gas geyser for a faster Nexus, but that was also an Amygdala. Amygdala is a larger map. This is a smaller map of the map pool. Oh, as it looks like something has come up, so hopefully everything's okay. But this is a smaller map, so it is unwise to try to rush into a faster Nexus. So this time, what do we see? Double gate. Double gate opener out of Classic and double gate opener out of Shameless. Both players mirroring each other. Both players going for standard openers, more aggressive starts this time. Here we go. These are going to be more aggressive starts. And hopefully everything's okay. You know, maybe like some Uber Eats is at the door, or alas, maybe like a cat has jumped on the desk. It's happened before. It's so hopefully everything's okay. Shane was just asking for a pause. But I hope everyone has been having a great weekend, and hope you're all enjoying your start of week as well. As we're getting to Tuesday, or it's actually, yeah, almost Tuesday here. Looks like the first round is wrapping up, and we'll catch up on those first round matches. We'll get there. We will get there. There's a lot of updates. Something that I can and will say, which is one of the reasons why we jumped on this series initially, is that this series leads into Solar. Solar, he got a walkover in the first round, so Solar is waiting for the winner of this match, waiting for either Classic or Shameless. It's going to be a ZVP regardless, but Solar, as we did speak on last week, and especially during the podcast, Solar right now, he's on his redemption arc. He's been struggling quite a bit for quite some time, and he is on that, and I mean, now is the time to feature him. It looks like we have our players. Looks like we have Shameless back. Shameless is back, and now we can focus on our ace match. Go. Speaking of, Shameless going for the proxy pylon. Pylon's going to be proxy. Now, as a reminder, if you weren't here for the start of the game, 2-gate opener. 2-gate opener out of Shameless, 2-gate opener out of Classic. With this, we can go for a very real proxy. Now, based on the location, this looks like proxy Stargate. Looks like a Stargate, looks like it won't be an all-in, but we'll keep an eye on Shameless. I mean, potentially we could throw down the we could throw down the Robo, but there it is, Stargate. Stargate's on the way. The reason why we assumed it was going to be Stargate is because this location is close by air, but it's long by ground. Proxy Robo wouldn't make sense in this location. With a Proxy Stargate, the goal here is to get economic damage done. Meanwhile, Classic going for a Robo in the main. Classic, he does scout, he does confirm that the pylon was missing, true, so he knows that something is wrong, he knows that something is amiss, he knows that the pylon is out there on the map, and this is a very strong response. This is designed to hard counter a one base all-in. But Proxy Stargate is not all in. Proxy Stargate leads to an expansion. It's to deal economic damage, that is true, but Shameless should be expanding behind this and transition. As there's the Oracle on the way, designed to hunt down workers. Now, Classic, this initial response, yes, it is very safe and it will shut down any all-in if he were up against one, but he can also turn this into all-in base all-in as well. If Classic doesn't expand, if Classic throws down a third gateway and a fourth gate, and Classic can just commit. Probe comes in and Classic, he scouts, he confirms. Classic, he sees no expansion yet, but he also confirms that the Stargate at the Orb. Behind this, yep, gateway. Extra gateway, what does this tell us? This tells us that Classic is going for the all-in. He's going for a one base all-in. And Shameless needs to confirm, because Shameless, he's the one expanding. He pokes in, sees the Robo. Big Scout sees the Prism as well. Now, what does Shameless not see? He doesn't see the gateway count, and he doesn't see the lack of expansion, but he's about to. The Adept is moving in, and this Adept is going to have a crucial moment. A crucial scout is going to confirm there is no expansion. It is a one base all-in. Okay, breaks forward. There we go. Shameless knows. He knows what's going on. Back at home, Robo's on the way for Immortal production. We need warp ins. Oh no! Oh, the Oracle's going to go down. Oh, brutal pick off. Oh, does escape. Whew, does barely get away. For these Oracles, they haven't really gotten much damage yet. There's another revelation. Back at home, we need shield batteries, immortals, and more shield batteries, and more immortals. It's not going to be an easy hold. So Classic is moving out. Warp again, extra stalkers, 3 stalkers at a time. Shield battery is almost done. Classic's moving in. Classic going for the kill. Oh, shield battery's not done. He gets 1 stalker. He gets 1. He takes down the sentry as well. Yeah, nice control so far, and Classic is overwhelming. He's just overwhelming the army here. Very nice control, losing a single stalker. Oh my god. Barely pulls away. Hey, the juggling is brutal. The immortal has arrived, but doesn't matter. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Classic, he is done. He breaks through the defensive line, takes down the soldiers, takes down the immortals. GG gets called, and Classic will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the round of 16. GG. GG, well played, Classic. He does pull off the one base all-in. Unfortunately, Shameless, he did overcommit into his Stargate production. He did make 2 oracles, and unfortunately, they didn't really accomplish anything. I mean, I say that he overcommits, but you could argue that maybe the oracles, they could have thrown down stasis traps back at home or been influential in another way, but alas, it was a big investment, an investment that didn't really produce anything, right? Like, it dealt no economic damage and didn't help in the defense either. Nothing aggressive, nothing defensive. GG. GG, well played. In the end, the Oracles, they were dead weight, and in the end, Classic does overwhelm. Congratulations. We'll advance on to the next round, and we are here to find out where that takes us, and we're here to follow Classic into the round of 16. Here we go.